Thoughts so loud, thoughts so wow that I need to get them out, yeah. What's up, my people, and welcome to the 23rd episode of Loud Thoughts with me, your host, True Loudy, bringing it to you raw, and this time a little bit scripted. I wrote some notes down to my left-hand side there. You might see me looking at it a little bit while I'm talking through this concept that I'm bringing to you today. If you are new to the channel, this is a podcast essentially about self-development and about how to be a better human, where each week I bring you new topics or concepts and I cover them as extensively as I can. Generally, these concepts are things that I've already been thinking about in my life, or new ones maybe that I'm approaching because I've thought about them in the past week and I'm like, interesting. How can I break that down? How can I present this to people and try to help them with their lives? Because that's what I'm all about. I love helping people, and I'm in the process of helping myself become a better human being. So if you haven't already done it, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, share the podcast with your friends, your family, your loved ones, your cherished individuals, if it resonates with you, or don't. I don't really care. It's up to you. That's all on you, man. I'm just happy that people are watching this, because this is what I want to do with my life. And the more people that get involved, the better. I want to create a community based around self-development so we can all help each other out. You know what I'm saying? And without further ado, episode number 23, SelfHate. Most of my life, as far back as I can remember, I never liked who I was. And I didn't really know who I was. I didn't really know what I liked. I didn't know who I liked, what music I wanted to listen to. It was kind of as if I was this amorphous concept of a person rather than an actual person that had inherent value, I guess, or inherent interests. And that, I think, is accurate for a lot of people. We are in this life trying to discover who we are every single day. And when we find something, we adhere to it. We're like, yes, that's what I like. That's what I want to be. But also, I think, for me personally, a lot of that had to do with mental illness and being a kid who just had so much anxiety growing up, and being a kid who had a lot of depression as well. I just struggled with it. I didn't really know what I wanted out of life, and I didn't know who I was. And so every day was a little bit of a struggle. And that's because I put a lot of pressure on myself to figure these things out. A lot of kids don't do that. I was a little bit of a special case, I guess, in that regard. And so, because of these things, I started to develop discontent within my life, but also I didn't like myself. And that not liking myself turned into self-hate. And that self-hate ate away at me my whole life. Up until now, I'm kind of learning how to deal with it and cope with it. And so, like, what is hate, right? Hate is essentially the ultimate contempt that you could hold for a thing, a place, a color. Oh, I painted my wall yellow. Looks like shit. I hate it. These types of things. Or that person did this to me. I fucking hate him now, right? And so there's an action, and then you have a reaction to that thing. Somebody acts, or maybe you act, and then there's a response, and then you're like, I fucking hate it. I don't want to deal with that anymore. So hate is learned, from what I understand, right? It's a learned behavior. We don't come into this world as babies, little itty bitty babies, little baby blank slates, coming into this world like, fucking dropping N-bombs, saying racist slurs to people, giving the middle finger to Asians or whatever, slitting your wrists, wanting to kill yourself. No, you're an innocent little baby. Sorry if that triggered anybody, but this is the truth, right? coming in this world as a small, little, itty bitty baby. And you don't have a care in the world. Everything's all smiles and love because you have not learned any behaviors yet. And who do we learn these behaviors from? Usually the people closest to us. So it's usually family members or really close friends. Kids are so susceptible, and babies are pretty susceptible too, right? Blank slates, they're going to absorb things. So as a kid, if you say something to a kid like you have a big nose, you don't know if that's going to stick to them for the rest of their lives. That's why bullies are so influential in kids' lives and destroy confidence. And these poor kids end up developing issues with self-hate because they think this shit is true, what people say about them. And it's only true if you believe it's true. Everything is relative. Like religion is only true if you believe it's true. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's things that are actually true, but you get the concept, right? And so because kids and small children and babies are just so susceptible, you never know what is going to be said that's going to stick to them. And usually in your family, people can say horrible shit. Your family, everyone has issues with their family. I, have my issues. You have your issues. We all have issues with our family. But a lot of this learned behavior is like there's a small little child in each one of us that is still damaged from something somebody else said. And that little child ends up turning into these like voices inside your head when a situation goes wrong. You're like, yeah, that's my fault. I fucked it up because of this and this. But if you actually trace that voice in your head back far enough, you'll recognize it's not your voice. It's someone else's voice who said something back when you were super young, and then you adopted that as your own voice. You adopted that as, this is true, this is who I am, And so, like, because of this susceptibility, we learn this behavior, and it's really hard to unlearn because it's ingrained in us. It's part of our neurology, And like, so what triggers this self-hate? What triggers us to hate ourselves? I would say there's a couple things. One is extreme ownership of situations and problems. Like, we take extreme ownership as people that hate ourselves, right? Like people with mental illness that get down on ourselves. We take extreme ownership over all situations and act as if like everything's in our control. And we do that without a healthy base of self-love. So essentially we go, like, something goes wrong in a relationship. Oh, it's all my fault. I did this. They left me because I'm a piece of shit. And I could have been a better boyfriend or girlfriend, right? Or like, I didn't get into that college because I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. And it starts with like this thought, and it fucking spirals so quickly. It spirals so fast. So that's an important thing to understand, is like it starts with a thought and it goes down that rabbit hole real quick. So the more we can stop it here before it spirals, the better the outcome for our emotional selves, right? And so this idea of extreme ownership is great when it comes from a place of truth and reality. It's got to be grounded in reality, and it's got to be grounded in self-love, because you can have extreme ownership of like, I want to be better. How do I be better? Problem solved to that point. I want to be a better human, and this is how I'm going to get there. And that's really important. The other aspect of that is social comparison, is where a lot of self-hate comes from. So we tend to, as humans, socially compare ourselves to everybody else. And this is a natural thing. I've talked about this before, but this is a natural part of being human, is like, you go like, what's that person doing? Oh, can I fit in the social group? Can I assimilate? You know what I mean? Oh no, that person's way ahead of me in whatever skill set they're doing or whatever. Or their social status, or, and so we socially compare to understand our place in the hierarchy of, social status and all these things. But the problem with that is there's no face-to-face interactions with these people that you see on social media. It's literally a one-way street, which you get to look down the one way and go, oh, that's what they're doing down there. I can't go down that one-way street. Oh, it's so sad. Social media is fake. People can put up whatever they want, and it's just this big show. And so all these young people, and people around my age, I'm 32, so people around my age, people in their 20s, people go on social media and they think it's real. And so they socially compare themselves to people, and it's super detrimental to your mental health, especially if you come from a place where you already struggle with self-hate and self-criticism, because you're seeing people, maybe it's not even fake, right? Maybe it's someone who worked for 20 years to get to where they are, and they're playing violin or something. And you're like, damn, that person's so good at violin. I want to be a violinist, but I can't now because this is discouraging me. I'm not as good as them. But what you don't see is all the years of hard work that went into them to cultivate that skill. So it's this instant show of, the development of something over time. And then also there's that other side of it, right, that I explained. It's fake as fuck. It's fake, dude. Everyone's up there putting on a show. So you got to treat it like Hollywood. You got to treat it like you went to the movies and saw Avengers. It's not real life, and it never will be, because it's one-sided. You don't get to go up there and ask questions like, can you really do that? How long have you done that? What's this like? What do you do with the rest of your day? Oh, you work at a McDonald's? Okay. Social comparison is one of the number one ways to surely fuck up your mental health. So it's all about understanding where you are now, what you can do from the position that you're in now, and you gotta fucking put the blinders on. If you worry about what everyone's doing over here, you're putting your energy into other people and what they're doing. It's so much harder to cultivate a life for yourself and to maintain your mental health. So that's super important. So extreme ownership, got to find a healthy base if you're going to be the type of person that's going to put extreme ownership as part of your template for how you manage yourself and the way you interact with this world. And then the other one is social comparison. You got to stop doing that in a negative light. Let people inspire you. Don't let people discourage you, right? And that just goes in life in general. Surround yourself with people that are going to inspire you and encourage you, and people that like to solve problems, not add more problems. Certain people, you'll have an idea and they'll find 1,000 ways to shoot it down. Those are the type of people to get the fuck out of your life. You got people, when you have ideas, that are like, oh yeah, and you could do this. This is how you could do that. I know a person that can help you with this, right? So it's like, find people that encourage you. I can't stress that enough. Life's too short to spend time with people that are pieces of shit. Excuse me. Pardon my language. I've been swearing a lot this podcast. I'm going to also take this sip of coffee and give you guys some ASMR. Here, ready? There it is. There it is. A nice little ASMR for you. All right. So I'm going to look at my notes real quick here. Okay, cool. So how do we unlearn this learned behavior, right? Patience is number one. Patience and love for yourself, you got to find a way to develop that. And you got to find the right people in your life who are going to be able to support you through this process of finding self-love, and people that are going to be honest with you. Like when people say, no, you really are good at this thing, or you really are talented, or you really do have these skill sets, don't shrug them off and say, oh, no, I'm a piece of shit. No. Because the truth is, if you find the right people, they're going to be telling you the truth. They're not going to be placating to you in order to curry some favor. No, they're going to be telling you the truth. So you got to listen to your support group and what they say, especially if more than one person is saying it, right? If you got a few people telling you the same thing, you have to consider that heavily and, go off that. Okay, so the next thing is, acceptance of self. I'm over here like, where's my notes? I usually don't take notes, but you know what? Fuck it. I want to give the best content to you guys. So if I have to look over to the left a little bit, I'm going to do that. So acceptance of self is the next one. You have to be able to accept not only your position in life, but you got to be able to accept who you are as a person, physically and emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all that shit. Because once you accept yourself for who you are in these moments that you live, you're able to move forward from there. If you have this cognitive dissonance of like, I am this person or I am that person, but you act a different way, you're never going to be able to align those things to be able to move forward and become the person that you want to be, right? And you have to stop resisting the truth of your situation, the truth of who you are. So those are the ways to try to unlearn behavior, right? We'll go over those again real quick. So patience with yourself. You got to find a way to cultivate love within yourself, care about yourself, surround yourself with the right people, right? Acceptance of self, fully and wholly, and all those markers that I named, right? And then you got to stop resisting. Because when you resist, and you're trying to change yourself or your behavior, you're going to be drained all fucking day long. So you got to accept that you're fallible as a human. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay, right? If you take on that extreme ownership role where you're always worried about fucking up, essentially, right? You're going to be exhausted. You got to give yourself some slack too. So everything, like I always say in this podcast, is about a balance. So that being said, much love, you guys, and may you be blessed as you move through the streets of this life, trying to navigate which way is wrong and which way is right, baby. I'll see you on the next episode, and take care of yourselves.